עודך כי אני תעני ותהי לי ישועה עודך כי אני תעני ותהי Eben masu abonim hayisa lirosh pina Eben masu abonim hayisa Asa Adonai Nagila V'nismecha Avo Ze Hayom Asa Adonai Nagila V'nismecha Hashem Oshiana Ana Hashem Oshiana Oh Ana Hashem Otzlichana Ana Oh, Atzlichana. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Wow, what a pleasure this is. This is Odecha. Tells the story in Hallel that we sang recently on Hanukkah. the story of the ups and downs, the roller coaster ride of life, which we've all been on lately. And on the one hand, it says, I'm so thankful. It opens up. And then it says, but you brought me down. But then you brought me back up. But then you threw me aside like a castaway stone. And then you made me the cornerstone of the building, of the temple. And this is the best day that's ever been created in the whole world. And then the next sentence, which finishes it off, is, God save us now! It's just a real journey of ups and downs, and I feel like that's the way that life has been this last year, and it's always that way, in fact. So thanks for joining us with the Hadar Ensemble here. I loved hearing Yoshi and Sam playing such beautiful open groove there. I just want to play that one song all night. How'd that feel to you, Sam?
Well, pretty open.
Joey, we're not going to do that one song all night. We have other songs too.
Okay, well, I'd like to play a song called Gam Kielech, and welcome Yosef and Deborah. I will also just say, really miss having the chance to play with the full Hadar Ensemble. We've done our best to bring as many people as we could into a socially distanced, safe environment that BJ has helped us create so that we could have this once a year singing together opportunity. We're very far away from each other. Join us like that at home. Let's try that once. Shivtecha u'mishantecha Heima inachamuni. Thank you. Taroch lefanai shulchan negetzor Shanta Shemen Roshi Kosi Revaya
ach tov v'chesed tirjefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti b'beis Hashem v'yorech yamim v'yorech yamim oh le 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 lo 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 tina na mama oh tina no 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 oh tina no 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 tina no tina na la li la la boy tina na ni na 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 tina na na tina na ni la lo lo hey la lo oh, how nice. Elusha Tsunadze on the banjo. Oh, this is so nice. Sounds great. Yeah, give me a sec. Yeah, let me get started.
That's a nice groove, Sam. Tuning is the best part.
I think the last time we were together as a group was this show last year, right in the sanctuary. So special to be back in this space.
Well, I'd just like to invite everybody at home, if you're able to, you don't have to. I know that the couch is really nice and there's no pressure to get off it, but you're allowed to. If you feel like moving or dancing, Dror Yikra, proclaim freedom. Sometimes it's nice to just let that happen. Yeah.
Neshama Tehaleluya, Hallelujah. Kol HaNeshama Tehaleluya, Hallelujah. Oh,
Oh, it's a pleasure. I have in front of us, we have a few screens of some people who are watching on the end. It's just so special to have here some of you dancing and moving, and these kol haneshama tehillah, yeah.
Don't worry about that. I like to say, Boker Tov, everyone. Those that are, John is there, and for those that are joining us on YouTube and Facebook, there is a Minaga Makom that is becoming gradually, once again, a part of our reality, and it's that once again. The high one. Fine. So, Minaga Makon, the custom of the place is that we used to start services 10 minutes late, Laila. I don't know if you remember that. Like we always meant to start at 9 a.m. and it never at 10 a.m. and it never happened. And the reason it never happened is because we would get stuck with Torah study and we would socialize with each other. And during the pandemic, actually, we were very punctual. And we are gradually starting to start late once again. Not something to be proud of. I will serve the service 1 second. Not something to be proud of, but
It's a good sign.
correct. It shows some level of beautiful normality that we are experiencing once again. I will say join us for Shacharit in Facebook. 1 more second. So we welcome those that are joining us on Facebook and YouTube, here in Zoom, of course. And we will try to start making a transition into Shacharit Shel Shabbat, into opening our hearts to a new day. We're on page 186.
שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלן רבה באמונתך מות אני לפניך רוח חי חי וקיים שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך היי לי 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 היי לי 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 היי לי 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 היי לה 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 היי לי 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 היי לי לי לי
מודה אני לפניך, רוח חי וקיים,
שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך מודה אני לפניך
תודה. רוח חי וקיים,
שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך
מודה אני לפניך,
החי וקיים, שחסרת בנשמתי, בחמלה רבה אמונתך.
First, thanks to you, ever-living God, that you have restored my soul to me in mercy. How great is your trust. We'll now turn our study to page 192 as we acknowledge each other's presence and we acknowledge this sanctuary that we are building together. We say, מה טובו עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. בני ברוב חסדך, אבוא ביתך, אשתחווה לך על קודשך, ביראתך, אדוני אהבתי מהום ביתך, ומקום משכן כבודך. בני אשתחווה בקרא, אברך לפני אדוני עושי, ואני תפילתי לך, אדוני אהב רצון. אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני באמת אישך. We're on page 194 for the blessing for the well-functioning of our bodies. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר יצר את האדם בחוכמה, creating the bodies many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly open or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. Baruch atah Adonai, רופא כל בשר, ומפליא לעשות.
Amen.
And as we acknowledge our bodies, we think of them as the sacred vessels of our existence. I hear that we are still organizing the Torah service, and I will ask you to do the following thing. Let's do that during the Torah service. We'll figure that out. So let's be here now. We are like 10 people, and it's nice to hear your voices in this specific moment. Being present here, I think it makes a huge difference.
So not right now, Lila, please.
When we try to
Thank you.
acknowledge our bodies as the sacred vessels of our existence, we recognize the connection between the tangibility of our existence, our bodies, and our souls. A particle of the divine presence that resides within us. I invite you to try to focus on your breath for just one moment. To breathe. In our tradition, breath, the neshima, is the key, the physical key to our neshama, to our soul. Make sure that you focus on the sound and the feeling of your breath. I invite you to take a deep breath. As we turn our study into page 196 for the blessing for our souls.
נשמה שנתת בי טהורה היא אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי
creation, sovereign of all souls. Praise are you, Adonai, whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher beyado nefesh kol chai, beruach kol basar ish.
Amen.
We turn our Sidurim to page 198 for the blessings for the daily miracles. Birkot HaShachar.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made all human beings equal.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Amen.
Page 204, the blessing for the study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshenu b'mitzvotav betzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. O Adonai our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths, and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel, may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, המלמד Torah לעמו Israel. Page 206.
These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's parents, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
We turn our Sidurim to page 212 for the blessing for the Psukei de Simbra.
Baruch Sheman v'haya haolam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Choseh Bereshit, Baruch Omer ve'oseh, Baruch Gozer u'mekayem, Baruch Merachem al haaretz, Baruch Merachem al habriot, Baruch Meshalem Sachar Tov Lireach, Baruch Hayan V'kayam lanetzach, Baruch Bodeh u'matzil, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Songs of praise will extol you and proclaim your sovereignty. For you are the source of life in the universe. One God, life of the universe, praise and glorious ruler. Your name is eternal. Melech Me'olam, Batishbachot, Melech Me'olam, Batishbachot, Baruch atah Adonai, Melech Me'olam, Batishbachot. you, Adonai, sovereign, who is glorified through songs of praise. We turn our Sidurim to page 214, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Psalm 92. Mizmor Shir, Shir Leyom HaShabbat. 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 We are at the top of page 215.
אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללו חסלה. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללו חסלה. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללו, עוד יעללו חסלה. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללו חסלה. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללו חסלה. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללו, עוד יעללו חסלה.
אשרי יושבי ביתך,
עוד
יהללו, עוד יהללו חסלה. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יהללו חסלה.
אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו.
תהילת לדוד, רוממך אלוהי המלך, בברכה שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, והללה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, בגדולתו אין חקר.
דולדו ישבח מעשיך, וגבורותיך יגידו.
הדר כבודותיך, בדברי נפלאותיך עשיך.
ועזוז נורותיך יאמרו, וגדולתך ספרנה.
זכר רב טובך יביאו, בצדקתך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדול חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ברחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, בגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני האדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
הנה כל אליך יישברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעתו. פותח את ידיך ומשביע לכל חי רצון. צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון ידע ויעשה, בית שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל השעים ישמיד. תהילת אדוני ידע בפי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם, לעולם בהר אנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה,
הללויה. תהילת אדוני ידע בפי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם, לעולם בהר אנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה, הללויה, הללויה. ואנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה, הללויה, הללויה. Page 218. כל הנשמה הללויה, הללויה. כל הנשמה הללויה, הללויה. God of the first and the last, God of all creatures, Master of all generations, who is praised in a multitude of praises, who guides the world with abundant loving kindness, and all creatures with mercy. Adonai neither slumbers nor sleeps. God awakens the sleeping, arouses those who slumber, gives speech to the mute. And God loosens the bonds of captives. God supports the fallen and strengthens those who are bent over. You alone do we acknowledge. Lufinu maleh shira kayam. Even if our mouths were full of song as the sea, we could never find the words to express the depths of our gratitude. We're on page 220.
Ilufinu maleh shira kayam, o lashonenu rina, veyadenu
שמיים, ורגלינו קלות רעייתות. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך, ולברך את שמך מלכנו. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך, ולברך את שמך מלך מלכי המלכים, מלך מלכי המלכים, מלך מלכי המלכים. אלופינו מלא שיר הקיים, ולשוננו רינה, וידינו פרוסות כשתי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כהילים. אלופינו מלא שיר הקיים, ולשוננו רינה, וידינו פרוסות כשתי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כהילות. Every heart will revere you, and every inmost thought will sing to your name. Let all my bones exclaim, who is like you, Adonai? Bless Adonai, O my soul, and let my inner being praise your holy name. O God, in the power of your strength, great in the glory of your name, mighty forever, awesome in amazing deeds, the ruler who sits on a high and exalted throne.
שוכנת מרום וקדוש שמו, וכתוב רננו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נבוא תהילה, בפי ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש. ומקלות ריבות עמך בית ישראל, ורינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו, בכל דור ודור. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שהוא שבחה הלל וזמרה, עוז ממשלה, נצח גדולה גבורה, תהילה ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודאות, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך מלכי העולמים.
Page 224.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון וחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב נאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה נאמרו אמן.
We turn our Sidurim to page 226. As we take a moment to acknowledge our community, for who is the call to worship, and the call to communal worship. So we make sure that as we walk into this
moment, we recognize our minyan, the diversity and the beauty of our minyan. And we tell to each other that we count them, that we count on you. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. Have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. ברבב תנו אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו. לעבור אבותינו ואמותינו שבטחו בך ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו ותלמדנו. We take a moment to recognize the unending love, the conditional love that surrounds us. Verenenu b'toratecha, enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Instill on us, in our hearts, your mitzvot. Tavek liveinu b'mitzvotecha. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, were wonders. You chose us. Truly, you drew us near to your great name that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch ata Adonai, abocher be'amo Israel be'ahava.
Amen.
We're on page 232.
Shema,
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Please join me on page 234 for Ve'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטות אבות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We continue in English, middle of page 236. Adonai said to Moses as follows, "Speak to the Israelite people and instruct them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout the ages. Let them attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it and recall all the commandments of Adonai and observe them, so you do not follow your heart and eyes in your lustful urge. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, אמת ביציב. אהוב וחביב בן רב אל בטוב ביפה, הדבר עשה עלינו לעולם בהן. From Egypt you redeemed us, freeing us from bondage. We read in this Torah portion that one of the blessings that are promised to us is that we won't experience ever again the illnesses that we experienced in Egypt. And one wondered, like, what were those illnesses? Like, what were the terrible things that we know that are not going to happen to us ever again, particularly in the context of a worldwide pandemic? How is that promise feasible? And then you realize that the promises has to do with the illness of having a slave mindset, that we will be cured forever from the inability, from the lack of ability to see ourselves as free people, as individuals that can overcome obstacles. So with that idea in our minds, I invite you to recognize what are the obstacles that you are dealing with in your life, and to acknowledge them as something that can be overcome, because we will never again experience the illnesses that we have in Egypt, those that didn't allow ourselves to see ourselves as free individuals and as a free people. We're on page 244, Michamocha, Birkat HaGeulah.
Baelim Adonai, mi kamocha nedat bakodesh, nora teirot oseh vele, nora teirot oseh vele, shira chadasha, shibecho Yehudi, eshimcha.
אחד כולם הודו ופיתחו ואמרו אדוני יברך לעולם הארץ
צמוד ישראל קומה בזת ישראל תהינו ממך יהודה וישראל
גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל היי ליי 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 ליי
ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל.
Return our Sidurim to page 242. תפילת עמידה. אדוני,
שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, קונה חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכה חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הצל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומטיל אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך מימית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, מלמנת לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך כל הארץ כבודו.
ורחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהייך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. ישמחו בקודש
זכר למעשה ולשירים. לא נבלה אבותינו ואמותינו, רצונו חטאנו קדשנו במצוותיך ותחלקנו בתורתך, שבנו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך, תעלה אלינו לעבדך באמת. והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו והבאים רצונו תשמעת קודשך. שבח, רצון אדוני אלוהינו וישראל, ותפארתם בבת תקווה ותראה רצון תמיד, עבודת ישראל עמך, אל קרוב לכל קרב, פניך וחננו ושכרנו. מחזיר שנתו לצליחו. מודים אנחנו לך שאדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו ואמותינו. וחיינו בגנשנו. שלום טוב לך, וכן בחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך, וברכנו יצאנו מכל נביך ועל פניך. Grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. We are at the top of page 258.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. חן וחסד, חן וחסד ברחמים. חן וחסד, חן וחסד ברחמים. רחמים. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. Blessed are you, Adonai, who bless your people Israel with peace. Now, yes, my friends, we will turn our Sidorim to page 360. In order to start our Torah service, Steve, can I invite you to take the Torah from the ark?
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך. מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עושה בו ייתן, אדוני יברך
עמו בשלום. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדול אדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. מפיהם, מפיהם, יבורך כל ישראל. מפיהם, מפיהם, יבורך כל ישראל.
אין אדיר כאדוני, ואין ברוך כבן אברהם. אין גדולה כתורה, ואין כשנר כישראל.
מפיהם, מפיהם, יבורך כל ישראל. אין אדור כאדוני, אין ותיק כבן אברהם. אין זכה כתורה, בין חכמיה כישראל. מפיהם, מפיהם, יבורך כל ישראל.
אין טהור כאדוני, ואין יחיד כבן אברהם. אין כבירה כתורה, ואין מתנה כישראל.
מפיהם, מפיהם, יבורך כל ישראל. אין בודק כאדוני, ואין צדיק כבן אברהם. אין קדושה כתורה, ואין בוקיה כישראל. מפיהם, מפיהם, יבורך כל ישראל. מפיהם, מפיהם, יבורך כל ישראל. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Everyone, it's good to see you. It's good to see those that are connecting with us in Zoom. And of course, it's wonderful to know that many of you are connecting with us through YouTube and Facebook. And we'll see, I decided to use technology I own for the first time ever in a service. We'll see if that works. Okay, we'll see. Turn off. If it doesn't work, I think I remember the text. But I'm not sure if I remember my password. But I'll give a shot to it right now. What? She doesn't answer in Shabbat. No, we'll be fine. I'm not kidding, I don't remember my password. I do. It worked. Fine. Good. Good to know. Good to know, Mark. So, we were singing, Mipiel, Mipiel, Yevorach Israel, the word blessing. We will get a blessing from God's mouth. I wanted to ask you a very simple question. The question is, what's the source? What's the foundation to blessing, for blessing. What's makor abracha in our tradition? What? What is the source? S-O-U-R-C-E. Of blessing. Yeah, I know it sounds weird. Like the source of blessing. Like, I don't know. It sounds like the, I don't know, Excalibur movie question. What's the source of blessing in our tradition? God. Why you say God, Miriam? I will repeat what you say because you don't have a microphone so everybody can hear. So because God blessed creation and made it holy. Very interesting approach. Any other ideas? Blessings come from one to another, right? We are the source of blessing. We bless each other. Beautiful idea. There's no right and wrong. Like, I'll give you the right one in a minute, but there is no really right and wrong. Daphne, you were about to say something. Oh. Daphne, that's very interesting. So Daphne is saying that the source of blessing is the emunah, the faith, that there is something that is willing to bless you. It reminds me the idea of Yair Caspi, who is the founder of Jewish psychology, who says that the question is not if you believe, it's why you want to believe. And when you approach it that way, so there's a faith is created. Beautiful idea. Any other? So I give you a clue to that. The first clue is that we actually refer to something as source of blessing, at least in a weekly basis. When you sing Lecha Dodi, Likrat Shabbat Lechu Benelcha Ki Mekor Abracha, right? Go toward Shabbat, because Shabbat is the source of blessing. But that answer would be insufficient. Because Shabbat is not the only source it is a source of blessing. Miriam was kind of getting close to that. Rabbi Miriam was kind of touching that. But I would think that Shabbat, as the only source of blessing, is insufficient. And we read in our Torah portion, Be'aya, Ekev Tishmeun, את המשפטים האלה, ושמרתם ועשיתם אותם, etc., etc. And it was because, since you listen to these commandments, to these ordinances, etc., etc., באהבתך וברכך. I love you, and I will bless you. If you listen to the commandments, I will love you, and I will bless you. Now, last week, when we explored our Sidra, Parashat Bet Hanan, we said, you had that in English too, Zach, if you go to the end of the document. Beautiful, very fancy. We're getting better and better. So, when we explore the Sidra, we have the first reading of the Shema. There is the statement, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, listen, O Israel. And then there is, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, etc., etc. And so we said, or at least I said, that the foundation for love is listening. Now, the second Sidra in a row that brings the second reading of the Shema that we don't have in our Sidurim. The Reform movement didn't love it, and because there is a conditional love there, not an unconditional love, and so it was kind of decided not to put that in there. I do think that we have that in our new Machzorim. And now the text is saying that the foundation for blessing is listening. Or I am saying that the text is saying that. Let's put it clear. If you listen to these ordinances, to these mishpatim, to these laws, there will be a blessing. Now, I want you to be aware of something that is happening at the same time in the Torah portion, and you can accuse me of starting to get to read too much between the lines in the Torah. The second word in the Torah portion is ekev, right? Because. And ekev is also a kev, which is a hill. Now, and then the third word is tishmeun. Now, lakshiv, lishmoa. Shomim with what? With your ears. And now, in our tradition, you also listen with your heart. We spoke about that last week. And then when we go to the outcomes, what's the outcome? Bracha. Is the word blessing related to any part of your body? Berech. Yuval, the word bracha comes from the word berech, ni. Why? And that's what you vow when you do blessings. So there is a parallel description, and you will see that when the lack of ability to listen, how do we describe that in our tradition? When we say that someone can't listen, when we say in this Torah portion at least twice, that the people of Israel couldn't listen, the concept that we use, am kashe oref, stiff-necked. That's a bad description all over the Torah portion. And there is more. There's speech about the heart. So, while we are talking about listening and the foundation of blessing, there's a description, huge description, or a very specific description of the human body. And there's another, well, the question would be there, why? Why is the human body being described? And as we say in the first reading of the Shema last week, that you are supposed to love with all your heart, I would say that you are supposed to listen with the entire body. And that the act of not listening is turning around, stiff-necked. Am kashe oref, when you give someone with your back as indifference. So if the opposite to blessing, in this case, would be indifference, blessing means radical awareness. Now, there's a description of incredibly beautiful blessings in the Torah portion. It feels like almost an exaggeration. Everything is in there. As I mentioned earlier today, that we are not going to experience the illness that we experienced in Egypt, and that everything is going to be fruitful. But an interesting little thing in those promises, the Torah portion says, your enemies won't succeed when they try to kill you, when they try to attack you. They will deal with terrible struggles, etc., etc. And I was wondering, couldn't the Torah portion just promise that we won't have enemies? Like, if you can promise all these things, why don't you just promise that we are not going to have enemies? And I think that Torah sometimes needs to be realistic. And, as we are talking about the coming into the land, I think what the Torah is describing is what happens if we stick to our ekev, to our foundations, to our foundational values, if we are very mindful, very thoughtful of our foundational values, and how we are going to experience our lives. It cannot promise that we are not going to have enemies. But we will take, as we say them in Hebrew, we will take our enemies the proportia. They will be in a context, in the context of the blessing that we are experiencing while we stick to our values. Now, the end of this Torah portion, or toward the end of the Torah portion, we learn about the mitzvah of what? We talk about tzitzit, we talk about mezuzah, we talk about filim. We talk about shmashei kedusha, about sacred objects, or objects that help us do sacred work. Now, what's their role? What's their importance? And I mentioned this in Torah study earlier today. What's the role of these objects? Are the tefillin or the mezuzah in your house? Is that the most important part of your house? Is that the most sacred element of your house? Correct. Like the most sacred element of your house, in your case, Mark, is your wife. The most sacred thing in our household is our relationships. It's the people we love. But you know what? We tend to forget the most important things. We tend to become am kashe oref, individuals that are kashe oref. We tend to become indifferent. And so the mezuzah is there to remind you that you want to live a life with values. What do you have inside of the mezuzah? The reading of the Shema. The mezuzah is telling you, listen, be aware, practice awareness. Listen, you have to listen, you have to be aware. The mezuzah is to remind you, it's not for you to, as many do, to kiss the mezuzah. It's for you to kiss your children, for you to pet your dog, for you to hug your wife, for you to bring flowers, for you to prepare a meal, for you to connect with your family, with your friends, with your community, with awareness, with love. Now, what mitzvah is more important? At the end of the day, they're all important. Because they're a set of reminders. And one reminds you of the other one, and one reminds you of the other one. So the mitzvah of the mezuzah at the end of the day, you say, well, what's the role of the mezuzah? Well, the mezuzah itself is an object. It's a piece of wood, or with a cloth, with a piece of animal skin. Why is the mezuzah so important? Because it's a reminder. Because it brings us all the way back to the foundation, to the heel, to the principles that we want to have in the center of our heart and in the center of our minds as we try to live our lives with each other. So, Tishmeun, listen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We'll get started with the reading. I didn't use it at the end. We'll get started with the reading of Parashat Ekev. Yes, you call us the calling. Okay. I'll take it off.
Talmud, Tzidel Rivka, Bat Shmuel, Valeah. Let's see, that's Aliyah Harishon, Lila Pesner, and reading will be Mark Filowitz.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher b'karbano mikol hamim v'eten lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'haya ekev tishmur et hamishpatim ha'ele ushmartem v'asitem otam v'shamar Adonai Elohecha lecha et habrit v'et hachesed asher nishba lavotecha v'yahavcha v'echa v'hirbecha uveirech biri v'ticha upri admotecha dagancha v'tirshecha v'yitzcherecha shekar alafecha v'astorot zonecha al hadama asher nishba le'avotecha latet lach Baruch tiyeh mikol hamim lo yeh v'chakav v'yakara uvitchem unim techa.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Something I forgot to mention, we're on page 1378 of the Blue Books. It's Deuteronomy chapter 7. All right. Yamod, Feivel ben Shlomo, Aliyah Hashim Sheni, second Aliyah will be Felix Livitz, and reading will be Daphne Guterman.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'hesir Adonai mimcha kol choli v'chol madvei מצרים הרעים אשר ידעת לא ישימם בך ונתנם בכל שונאיך ואכלת את כל העמים אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך ולא תחוס עיניך עליהם ולא תעבוד את אלוהיהם כי מוקש הוא לך כי תאמר בלבבך רבים הגויים האלה ממני איך אוכל להורישם.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yamod, Rabbi Nico ben Yehoram v'Batya Aliyah Hashlishi.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
And chanting in Miriam Van Ralt.
Amen. Lo tira mehem zachor tizkor et asher asa Adonai Elohecha lefaro lechol Mitzrayim hamasot hagdolot אשר ראו עיניך, והאותות והמופתים, והיד החזקה, והזרוע הנטויה, אשר הוציאך אדוני אלוהיך, כן יעשה אדוני אלוהיך לכל העמים, אשר אתה ירא מפניהם, וגם את הצירה ישלח אדוני אלוהיך בם, עד אבות הנשארים והנסתרים מפניך.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, בחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yamud, Ari Ben Yosef, Aliyah Hamaftir. And chanting will be Gabriel Newman.
Whose birthday was yesterday?
My birthday wasn't yesterday, Evan's was.
Evan was.
Oh, I thought you
It
said
was back
he
in
said
the
my
context,
name.
but also
Then
he
you
also
said-
said your name. and Yuval, was your birthday too?
Yes.
When was the last time you saw a Torah from Karov, from closer? Come. 2 weeks ago. Went to shul. Good. Come.
And the Maftir is on page 1408.
It's always my fault. Okay, this is the beginning of the next Torah portion, so you're here.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Im shamor tishmerun et kol hamitzvah hazot asher anochi mitzavetchem la'asota la'ahava et Adonai Elohechem la'lechet bechol derachav uledavkavo V'horish Adonai et kol hagoyim ha'ele milifnechem v'irishtem goyim gedolim v'atzumim mikem kol hamakom asher tidroch kaf raglechem bo lachem yeh min hamidbar v'halevanon min hanahar nehar perat ve'ad hayam ha'acharon yeh gevulechem lo yityatzev ish bifnechem pachdechem umora'achem Yiten Adonai Elohechem al panei chol haaretz asher tidrechuva kasher diber lachem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Take a moment to acknowledge those who came up to the Torah. זה משברך אבותינו ואמותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה רבקה, רחל ולאה. הוא יברך, he will bless all those that came up to the Torah in honor of God, Shabbat, והמקום, our beloved congregation. May God bless all of us and acknowledge all our endeavors together with all Israel, and let us say,
Amen.
we also take a moment to acknowledge those who are dealing with illness. We think of those dealing with illness in their bodies, those dealing with illness in their spirits, with mental illness. We acknowledge those dealing with addictions. And of course, we think of those that are dealing with COVID. They're in the middle of a pandemic. As we say, משברך אבותינו ואמותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה רבקה, רחל ולאה. We יברך את החולים, and if you have a name that you'd like to share, please do so.
Rengatas.
May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say,
Amen.
wish to all of them, and of course we acknowledge those that share the names of your beloved ones in the comment section in Zoom and in Facebook and in YouTube. We wish to all of them רפואה שלמה והחלמה מהירה, a complete and a fast recovery. You want to do Agba? Go ahead.
זאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה.
שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הגמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הגמילות חסדים. חיימי למחסיקים בה ותומכי המאושר. It is a tree of life for those who hold fast to it. And that holding of Torah, that action of connecting and holding our values is the foundation for our existence. Return us to you, Adonai, and we will return. Chadesh Yameinu, renew our days, Kekedem, as if in days of old. We're on page 586. והשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים והשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. May be seated. We take a moment to acknowledge mourners among our community. We invite you as we go through the cycles of mourning, if you are physically present here, to say the names of those that you are remembering. And if you are connecting with us on Facebook, YouTube, or in Zoom, please share the names of your beloved ones in the comment section. If you are during the first 7 days of mourning, Shiva, please rise. If you are during the first 30 days of mourning, Shloishim, please rise. If you are during the cycle of the first year of mourning, please rise.
Joe Anguiano.
You have a yahrzeit this week, the anniversary of someone's passing. By this time of the year, in years past, please rise. Now you can support our fellows while standing or sitting, joining us with your hearts or your voices for Mourners Kaddish on page 598.
Yitgadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba.
Amen.
Belma divrach chirute, v'yamlich mochute. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru.
Amen.
Yehesh shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'l'mei mayam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitala shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'yimru.
Amen.
Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen.
May the memories of your beloved ones be always a blessing in your life. Yeh Zichram Baruch. So, two quick announcements. Number one, on August 13th, we will gather for back to shul, back to school Shabbat. And we really want to be intentional about the possibility of those adults that sometimes say, family service, not my thing. Let's make it your thing this year. Let's make sure that it becomes your thing. Because no one else have the ability to look at our children with love, with compassion, with empathy, and wish them a beautiful year after a year and a half of an unusual, to say at least, routine. And we are going back, they are going back to a new normal. So let's make sure that they are surrounded by blessing. And as we were, Daphna, who say that? Gabriel, I don't know who say that.
We bless each other.
But yeah, that moment. And we spoke about that with Miriam, with Rabbi Miriam last week. That when you engage in blessing someone, somehow you are activating a system that brings blessing back into your life. So think about what you can give, and before you notice it, you will be receiving something very similar. So that's one thing on the 13th. So put it in your calendar and make sure that you show up in Zoom, in person. Just show up, be here. Of course, YouTube and Facebook. But if you can join in Zoom, even better if you are joining us virtually. One more thing, on August 22nd, the Klezmatics, the very famous New York band, is coming to Orange County. It's going to be in South County. But for those that struggle with the driving, we will put together transportation, or we will have some members that I'm sure will be willing to take you in their cars. It will be wonderful for all of us to go together and to experience this great activity together. It is a gift to the community, and you can already RSVP in the website of Temple Beth El of South Orange County. They have a very long name. Last thing, on the 28th, Slichot, my friends. Laila, what are you going to do on the 28th? What's your job? Come on, Laila, you know.
For slichot?
That's your thing, Laila. Slichot. Laila will call me. You will call me this week, and you'll tell me. Even it's more than a month. You'll say, "We need to change. We need to change the dresses." I will say, "We will, Laila. We will." But it is tradition that we have every year the same conversation. So you better call me this week to remind me. No, we have reminders. Laila you're a reminder of so many beautiful things in our communal life and my personal life, of course. So let's make sure that you put that in your calendar as well. We will now turn our series to page 631. 631 for Enkeloheinu, the Ladino version of Enkeloheinu. So let's make.
Enkeloheinu, Enkadonenu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu. Non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Bicheloheinu, Bichadonenu, Bichemalkeinu, Bichemoshienu.
Que como nuestro Dios,
como nuestro Señor, quien como nuestro Rey, quien como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshiach.
oremos a nuestro Dios.
Oremos a nuestro Señor, oremos a nuestro Rey, oremos a nuestro Salvador.
Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu,
Baruch Moshiach. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador.
Atau Eloheinu,
Atau Adonenu,
Atau Malkeinu, Atau Moshiach. Tú sos nuestro Dios,
Tú sos
nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador. Adonai Oz Lamoitenu, Adonai Yevarech et Amav Shalom, Shabbat Shalom everyone. Darai, 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 darai.
Stay on if you would like to chat. Our little makeshift awning, right? But the sweetness is us being together and me being able to converse with you. So we're going to fade to black, and then we'll be right back.